Hi, everybody. On today's episode of Often Wrong, we are talking about what we got wrong, part 3. So we're going to review our last block of 5 episodes, 4 full episodes, 1 mini-sode, and connect them all together and tell you what we got wrong. So tune in and let's get into it.
Hey listeners, thank you so much for joining us again for this episode of Often Wrong. If you are enjoying how this season is rolling out, you can engage further by liking, subscribing, leaving a comment on wherever you listen to your podcast or on our website at carrotimpact.com/oftenwrong. From all of us at Often Wrong, thank you so much, and let's get back into the show. Welcome back to Often Wrong. This is the show where we say the quiet parts out loud and then we circle back in episodes like this one, the What We Got Wrong episode, to see if maybe we should have whispered instead. I'm not a good whisperer though, so.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of our holy little ritual of reflection on what we've discussed and, calling ourselves in with the same energy we bring to the rest of the world. I think it's a nice little talk. Time to reflect.
Yeah, so today we're going to revisit, as we do every 5 episodes, our past takes, our missed nuances, and just those moments where we thought we were spitting facts, but we might have just been passionately winging it, which honestly for me, I feel like I do both at the same time. So, but I feel like at the end of the day, neither of us are really afraid to say like, damn, that was not it. Because growth is hot and curiosity is our love language. So here we are to get into our last 5 episodes. I think wonderful. It's so funny if we look at all of the comments and like whether it's in real life or online in the comment section or stuff that comes into us, all of it is just like, love that, best episode. We don't really get corrected.
Yeah.
Which I love that for me. I know that it's called Often Wrong, but I am also super willing to be right all the time.
Yeah.
And so far, it seems that way.
Yeah. And I think it might have something to do with the fact that our audience is growing. It's in her infancy. This is the youngest we will ever be.
So true.
And let's hold on to it for now when we just have the echo chamber of you and me. But we have gotten great feedback from particularly, our loved ones and people in our lives. But yeah, don't hesitate to come for us in the comments. We're ready for it. We are very sensitive and criers. So
yeah, I will say to whoever the person was who commented on one of our recent episodes, and he was just like, "Who cares?" And I'm like, "Who cares about what? Can you be more specific? Like, can you write back in and tell me what you don't care about?"
Wait, that's
because
really
that's
cute.
Always like a funny thing in the comment section. You say you don't care, but you did comment, so that was weird. But yeah, what don't you care about, and what do you got to say? Clearly, you're not holding back. So like,
yeah. Also, who cares? We do. We care a whole lot. I care
too much, maybe
so much that
She's a Cancer.
I'm a Cancer. It keeps me alive. Every day. Yeah. And I'm a water sun, water moon, air rising. So
she's drowning.
I literally
it's a hurricane.
Am consistently flooded with care. So yeah, I care. But yeah, let us know. We'll talk about it.
Okay, so here's what we did last time where we just talk about are we wrong? But I do think, I just want to know, Claire, doing this podcast, obviously this is our first podcast individually and together and ever, but how do you feel? We do these episodes, these topics come up, we're working through these topics in real time, which is so interesting because these are the things we're seeing on the news, like the quiet parts, the connections that we're able to identify between what's being said and what's actually happening. And it's also stuff that we're feeling in our own lives. And I feel really good about them. And obviously we put a lot of care and effort into what we're talking about and why and when. But I'm wondering, when an episode goes live, do you ever feel stress about what you said or how it's going to land or if it was the right thing?
That's really a great question. No. Because I don't remember what I said.
Yeah.
And I don't really stress about it because of that. But you know what is really validating? Well, and I don't know if it's actually validating because maybe it just means I have a like a singular mind, but every time I'm listening to an episode and you've said something, I'm like, "Oh god, I should say blah blah blah." And then I say it and I'm like, "Yeah. Damn, good job, past Claire. Like we're on the same page still." Um
Nice.
but I don't really to me again, like we're basing all of this in genuine curiosity and earnest care and respect. Like I don't feel I don't feel like, you know, I don't know. I guess I also am just kind of immune to the internet culture of like fear of what's being said because I haven't been on the internet in so long. And like I was never, even when I had social media, I was never one to like post, my opinions or like anything more than just like a highlight reel of my life. Like I did the bare minimum, I think. But I feel like, I don't know. I feel like now it's just, these feel again like very topical conversations and conversations that we need to be having. And they all feel very rooted. And it doesn't, like, again, to me, it doesn't matter like what the opinion is on one thing or like what the one thing, the one take, the one, way we're looking at something is. That doesn't matter to me. It's like what we're doing, how we're doing it, and
Hmm.
why we're doing it that matters way more than anything we could say, that
Yeah.
the fact that we, want to encourage people to have these conversations and lean into, discomfort or being wrong or just, how we're thinking about things. Like, I'll say it a million times, but I don't want to influence what people think, like what they actually think, but how they think. And just reminding folks like we're all great critical thinkers. We can go a layer deeper. Like where is it at in your body? Like bring it home to you,
Yeah. No, totally that. And also just like this feeling of, because, both of us work in social impact. So I feel like we have been at all of the levels of how this is played out, how
Yeah.
it goes to people. And I think for a lot of people who are not in this like industry, for lack of a better word, they might think that they don't know anything about what's going on, but you do.
Yeah.
And it is something that's very, um, I don't know how to say, like, you're the things that you go through on a day to day, that's also playing out at a higher level. So it's not separate from you. And it is definitely something that you can weigh in on without, reading all of the history books and memorizing all of the bills and policies
Totally.
and facts. These are ready to be engaged with, and they should be engaged with. And I think that's a big thing that's important for me about this pod is letting people know, like, hey, you do know enough to say something, and
Yeah.
it's okay if you're wrong, but it's worth
Yeah.
engaging on.
Yep. And lead with that humility. And also I would go so far as to say like investigate, like just be aware of like where it's coming from because I hear people talk out of fear a lot or like say things out of fear or you know genuine genuinely they want to understand something but they feel like they're going to be judged if they say it, so they don't want to say it, so they're a little bit you know
Right.
like just have awareness of if at the end of the day that you're a person who cares about others and has respect for all living beings and whatever it is your values are, who you are and what you represent. To me it's like just know why you're asking something, ground
Hmm.
yourself in that, and then you'll feel good about asking it.
Yeah.
I think that's the or leading with that conversation. um I think that's really important. And yeah, I love what you said about, you know, it all does matter around us, but like you don't have to be a perfect, witness. You don't have to be a perfect participant. You don't have to be a perfect, you know, consumer. You can just be, and you're enough. You're enough.
Totally. And that's so real what you were just saying. I think that's something I wanted to mention today because, yeah, this last block that we did was very in real time. Like, there is so many things that were playing out in our lives, in the world, just around us that felt like, oh, we need to talk about this right now, actually. It's
Mhm.
important. And so, yeah, I feel like I'm interested in diving into what we said in all of those because I feel like things have slightly changed as we've like worked through it. But one big thing is what you just said about sometimes you're leading with fear. And I've actually, it's funny that you say that because I've actually noticed in the past, even in the past couple of days, I have said in conversations, oh, I said that it was coming from a place of fear. And I've
Mm.
never said that before. But
Hmm.
it just like, I knew in my mind that what I was saying was not really based in anything except for like this fear thing, which is worth talking about. That doesn't make the
Yeah.
opinion less valid, but it's like that is also part of it. We should talk about like, well, what is this fear for? And like
Yeah.
what good does it do? Sometimes fear is really useful. So why do I feel fear about what we're
Yeah.
talking about? And that's a worthwhile conversation. But I think there's also just I think just doing this podcast in general of choosing to not operate in the am I right or am I wrong, the spectrum of engagement that opens up in the middle
Mm.
is really hard because I think, and I didn't even think I realized until I started trying to unpack this, how how much I and people around me are trying to be right. And
Mm.
even when I knew that that's not something that I valued, I was still doing it. So now being in this place of being like, okay, there's polarity here. There's
Yeah.
somewhere else that this can go or how this can be expressed or how I could feel. And that is really interesting because there's not a ton of models on how to do that.
Yeah.
On just being like, you know what? If it's all wrong, if I find out in 5 years that the choices that I'm making and the ways I'm thinking about things are wrong, that's okay with me
Hmm.
because in good faith, I'm trying to explore these different things. And I think that's hard. I think that is why being right is the easier option, even though it is counterproductive and honestly can't even be reached. But
Yeah.
I think the middle ground is scary.
I think that's so well said. And I'll also just add, I think, to what you were just saying at the end there, which is like, you can't really grow from being right.
Mm-hmm.
You can really grow from being wrong. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, that in and of itself, if one of your goals in life is to grow, which I think that's human and natural design, things grow and, living things grow, um, you know, God willing or whatever. But I think that's a really important thing. And one of the things that I've realized about myself, like, I would say it's funny, like, I'm way less self conscious about what I say on here than what I say in real life. And like, and it's not that I'm just,
Well, I think we
I'm
trust
kind
each
of,
other.
yeah, yeah, well, yes. But like, I am so much more sensitive now, just I think with where I've been recently and the reflecting I've done on myself. Like, for a long time, I would just try to get people to come over to my side. And
Mm-hmm.
I would be like, I'm right about this. And I just have to argue and convince you and be persuasive enough and have enough of a, you know, understanding of how to deconstruct your argument and construct mine in its place and undermine your authority or what you think is your perceived knowledge. Like, I could be pretty disagreeable. And, I mean, the person who probably got the brunt of that was my mom forever. Um, but certainly other like people in, you know, intimate relationships in my life that was, you know, a huge thing that I did. And I've stopped doing that. And it's so much more relaxing to exist this way and to just be like, great. Okay, cool. Like,
Okay, that is an incredible segue into episode 11, which is the first one we're going to recap, which is our obsession with binaries, because I was going to say the same thing. Something has
mm,
really changed. Well, also to tag on to what you said about how it's easier to talk on the pod than in real life, it is kind of evening out right now, but I will
Yeah.
say I do think it's because we trust each other. And what I hope is that people listening to this will trust us too, to at least be in good faith and to engage with us, because that's
Yes.
what we want. We do like having these conversations. This is what we do whenever we have like a meeting. We just
Yeah.
like go off on tangents and get
Yep.
into all these different topics.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is the best thing. I think it's so interesting. But I
Yeah.
think, yeah, based on what you're saying, I totally feel that way. In conversations with friends, I've been noticing a lot, or even like reading comments online. I feel like I used to get really fired up when people would be like, I would be like, oh, you're wrong. And here's
Yeah.
why. And I
Yeah.
would break it down and I would come prepared and I'd be like, you literally can't win. I already know that I know more than you.
Yeah.
But that's ugly in hindsight. And I think it's so funny because I don't think that there is a way to be right. And I've noticed, even like with a close friend of mine, we disagree on a couple of things. And I love and trust him. But I've noticed in some of these conversations, he's even said to me, like, oh, I'm really trying to bring you over to my side, but it's not working. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's not going to. And that wasn't my point for the
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about it. And once
Yeah.
it kind of veers into that thing where I can tell that you're just trying to like sun me and tell me I'm wrong, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I just want to talk. And yeah, I think that's really interesting to see how that's progressed because, yeah, there really is no point in just trying to, like, you're not just campaigning all the time. You
Right.
could just talk.
Yes, exactly. The campaigning is so the
Hmm.
right word. And it's like on that uh 16 personality type,
Yeah, I
Myers-Briggs or
was the
whatever.
campaign. I used to be the campaigner.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me
so
too.
was our old
Yeah.
boss.
Yeah, I know. So was our old boss. I know. Yep. And yeah, I remember the conversation that we had where we were both like, "Oh my God, ENFP." But yeah, I need to update. Well, I don't need to. I'll do it when I feel called to do it. But I'm less into those personality type quizzes now.
Yeah.
Um,
It's so
I
funny though. We
okay,
did so much. Sorry, go ahead.
no. There was one really poignant personality type that we both took that I made you take. Or had you already taken it? I can't remember. The veggie quiz.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I forget what mine was, but it was funny.
I was garlic, and I believe you were, I don't know, something that complemented, like we complemented each other, and it was like what this vegetable said about you, and it was
Yeah.
so good. And I
But
just
mine, I do remember it
shout
was
out that
something about I can convince
veggie
anyone
quiz.
of anything, which is true. I can do that.
Yeah.
But I am trying to use my powers for good and I don't need to do it all the time. And
Yeah. I know. It's honestly like, I just, I want people to feel comfortable talking to me. And I also, I am comfortable being wrong. So I don't know why I feel like I have to be right because I am comfortable being wrong.
well, just because that's the vibe of really
Yeah.
most conversations. And it's so interesting too, because I've also noticed while I'm doing this of trying not to engage in like a who's going to win this conversation,
Hmm.
I learn a lot more.
Yeah.
And it really helps inform me because now I can see why you feel that way. I don't have to agree, but I can
Yes.
understand why you feel that way. And that really helps me flesh out more of where I'm coming from, knowing that.
Absolutely. Even with like clients and stuff, I feel like I go so much further when I lead with curiosity rather than trying to defend my position and trying to say, this is what I think, here's what I think, and here's why you should think it also. Like, even if I'm really confident in that, if I lead with curiosity and really understand where somebody's coming from or what's motivating them, that is so helpful to me because then I can say, oh, and it's not just like a tactic, it's like oh, I'm genuinely getting a better understanding. And obviously, in a client relationship, we are working for the client and we
Hmm.
serve the client, different with like friends, obviously. But to me, it's so much more, um, you just can go way deeper when you understand and you ask questions and you engage instead of just coming out with, this is what's right. This is what I want to do. This is what,
No, I think that's
yeah.
so right. I think that also is helping this whole thing too, is just the work that we do and supporting different clients and media things.
Yeah.
and bringing them out into the world and just really working to understand like what are you trying to say and why? And what like yeah, what's it for? Who's it for? And those things, it doesn't matter if I agree with you. Like obviously we don't really take on work that we're like hard line, no. But
Hmm.
it is interesting to be like, oh, this isn't something that I really focused on, but I am really good at listening and helping to position what you're saying. And even if I don't totally agree with you, being able to ask the right questions, that's going to set
Yeah,
you up for success. And I think stuff like that is really helpful in
absolutely.
just how you get to approach the world because yeah, people care about different things for different reasons and it just opens up a whole other piece of the
Yeah,
world that is less black and white, less this is all good or this is all bad, but like there's so many little conversations going on and being a part of it is fun.
absolutely. Yeah, I think, again, under the umbrella of our obsession with binaries, and I'm excited to sometime soon have a conversation about how we talk about social justice and how, because
Yes,
a lot of this is related. Um,
totally.
Shocker, it's all connected.
Literally,
We're going to say
always.
this every day until we die.
Hmm.
And then you'll write it on our gravestones.
Have you heard the good word? Everything's
Yeah,
connected.
everything is connected. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. I could totally see us in our like 70s standing on a street corner. Have you heard the good word? Everything is
Like
connected.
grandma,
Just
what happened when this happened? I'll be like, babe, everything's connected.
mushroomed out and being like, our grandmas are not well.
Weird.
Like
My
they're
grandma's weird.
crazy. She's sweeping in the street and yelling about universal consciousness. Is she okay?
No, she's not okay. No, she is okay.
But I love like what you just said about the little conversations and the nuance there. Like obviously we talked a lot about the importance of that. I do wonder, for this episode, if we could have talked a little bit more about ambiguity or like the gray area as a practice rather than just as a concept. Because, like, for
Interesting.
me, I think about what does it look like to really be more comfortable in, and maybe it's not being more comfortable, but like being willing to exist in gray areas and being okay with that and not feeling like you have to run to a side or whatever. Like what does that actually look like in practice?
That's so interesting. I'm so glad you said that too, because obviously, as like you work and you just see how all of these things are connected, that feels like a very capitalism thing. We see a problem, we
Mhm.
need to fix it right now. Problem is, you can't do that because everything is connected and so deeply entrenched in everything. So, in order to fix this one thing, that just unraveled 25 other things.
Yeah.
And then you have to unravel all of those, and it's too much work. And then people freak out. And then here we are.
Yep.
So, I think that gray area just exists, period. And kind of like this real rat race towards like finding utopia cannot be and it won't work. So it, yeah, I just think that's really interesting to think about that gray area because that is all that there is. There isn't like a right way to do it or a wrong way.
Yeah. That's all that there is. True. That's really true. And I do wonder too, like if it's as simple as in a conversation, just saying like, because I've definitely used, and I don't think it's a cop out, but like there are so many ways to look at this. This is connected to so much other stuff. Like if we're trying to limit the scope of this conversation, it's very difficult because this has so many larger implications. I say that a lot. And I'm like, I don't know if that's the conversation you're trying to have, but like, oh my gosh, I mean, this is like a huge, huge thing. There's so much more to this. And then, we can start to like ladder it up. But I do wonder if it's as simple as just bringing that into your conversations and saying, "Oh man, I mean there's a lot of gray here." Just acknowledging it and
Mm-hmm.
and saying there's so many ways of looking at this and like, you know, people's lived experiences are going to color things, very differently. Like
Totally.
and it's not that you have to like try and acknowledge the entire gamut of perspectives on something. It's not about perspectives on something. It's about like the thing itself, right? So, like, if I'm talking about, I'll just use this as an example flowers. Like, I pulled something out of thin air, and then I was like, oh no, there's actually something there. But like flower delivery services, flower, like how we grow flowers, pesticides, what the consumerism angle of flowers looks like, how we're monetizing it. Like,
Yeah, why do they cost $150?
hmm um, the governor of Colorado, actually, Jared Polis, who has done a lot of great things for Colorado and done other things as well, but he is a brilliant businessman and started 1-800 Flowers or something. I think he was like a co-founder or something. But yeah, I had no idea. I thought he was just this nice and first openly gay governor in the country.
Wow.
But yeah, I just thought he was this nice little family man, and then nope, tycoon, flower tycoon. But there's like I am very great at going down rabbit holes, and the rabbit holes are everywhere. They're everywhere. I can find a million. So like I just think acknowledging that and then understanding what your partner in the conversation wants to dialogue with you about, wants to discourse about, like where that's going to go and what's important to bring up. But I think just acknowledging it, like I do that a lot. I don't know if it's actually helpful, but I just
No,
acknowledge
I
that
did that
we're in
with
a
my
gray
wife
area.
yesterday. We were talking and she was like, well, I'm trying to say this and you're arguing with me. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know we were arguing. I
Yeah.
was just like saying stuff. And I was like, no, I just want to talk with you. Sorry. I take back everything
Love
I
you,
said
Sean.
that didn't sound like that, but that is what I was trying to do. I'm not that
Yeah.
good at it, but it's good to,
Yeah.
point to that explicitly in conversation. Be like, oh, we're
Yeah.
not arguing
Yeah.
unless you want
This,
to, but I don't want to.
yeah. This is just an interesting conversation to have.
Yeah. We're just saying
Um,
stuff.
yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I had a conversation with my mom about something we disagree on, and I just felt different during it. Like I didn't feel like I had something to prove. I was just
Mm-hmm.
genuinely talking about it. And that was the first time she also felt different
Ooh.
talking to me about it, because she was like, "Do you see what you did there?" I was like, "No." And she was like, "You we just talked. You didn't try to convince me of anything. You actually like gave me some food for thought, but like I don't know that I'm going to change my mind, but like we just talked and it was interesting, and like you tried to see things from my perspective and you acknowledged my perspective, and you didn't invalidate it, you didn't deconstruct it. You just kind of, gave your 2 cents, and it was
Mm-hmm.
pretty simple." And I was like, okay. Yeah, that was a lot more relaxing than me getting all worked up about one thing, and being like, I don't get why you don't understand. I don't get, and it's, I think an important thing too is like, we often frame things like somebody else doesn't understand what we're saying, but they feel that way too. So like, it's,
Totally. It's
it's
not
both,
like
it's all
we both
valid.
think I'm right and you're wrong. And yeah, one of us has to be wrong here. And that's not
Yeah.
true. We can all be wrong at the same time.
Yeah. And there's not one person who has an objective truth,
Yeah.
like heads
Except
up.
for me.
Yeah. Well, except for Lisa. But she promised not to say anything. You
I
told them we
know.
wouldn't.
I know.
God, you
I'm
told me
sorry.
you wouldn't tell them that you have all the answers.
I know.
Damn it. Secret's out. But, it's important to follow your own truth, but like there's not really much objective truth in this world.
Yeah. The truth about truth is that it's evolving all the time.
Hmm. And that's the truth.
Again, bars. It just comes out of me.
So good. At least I said something kind of that felt very Carrie Bradshaw to me in like a bad way. And
But
that's the
okay,
truth. But I like it.
talking about how some people are wrong brings us to our next episode, episode 12, about cancel
Mm,
culture, which I loved
yes,
this episode. This was
I
really
did
fun to
too.
talk about.
Yeah, it was really
And
great.
yeah, we were just kind of going through like the roots of cancel culture, about how it, like all things, is derived from Black culture, but then it is also used kind of um, more harshly on Black people, which is
Yeah.
ironic and not unexpected.
Mhm.
But really just talking it through different like ways that this happens. And one big thing that I got a lot of comments on, either in the comment section or in person, is people just being like, yeah, I never thought about it like that. Like, what is the good of canceling people? And there's like stuff that's been happening since that episode came out that I think I wrestle with, but I think my answer for it and like what I would have added was like, obviously, we're in the midst of like the Diddy case right now,
Mm.
and it's awful. And I think that we should all get free, better help
Yeah.
subscriptions for having to read about this in the news because it's very upsetting. And I think it's just weird because I'm like, well, yeah, obviously he should be canceled. But I'm like, but that's not even it. Like it is something that needs to be engaged with. We do need to know
Mhm.
the depths of hell that exist in parts of the world.
Yeah.
And I think, but yeah, that's just like a different thing than canceling. And it's weird because now we're looking at like something like my favorite rapper growing up was Mace. I can't listen to Mace because Diddy's on all of those songs and it makes me feel gross, which is really
Yeah.
sad because I love Mace.
I
And
know.
yeah, so there's just like some things where it's just like not in the same conversation as like, oh, never listen to him again. It's like bigger than that. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, this like really unearthed something gross and larger than him. And it's not canceling this man does not fix the thing because it's actually so many more people,
Yeah.
which is kind of at odds with what I was saying about some other artists where, you know, I do genuinely feel that art is supposed to provoke. That is the point. It is supposed to make you think of something, not
Yeah.
even provoke in a bad way. It's supposed to do something to make you react.
Mhm.
And so throwing it all away when something happens that you don't like or because you don't like the artist, you kind of lose a lot of the nuance that we actually really desperately need. We do need to engage
Mhm.
with these things. And
Yeah.
even when they do something wrong, I do still feel that we it needs to be engaged with in order
Yeah.
for like the good of everybody.
I agree.
So I still
Just
support that.
silencing it is the easy way.
Hmm.
Like, that's the no growth way.
And it
That's the
lets it
cop
happen
out
again.
way.
Yeah.
Like, because then you don't have to deal with it. You don't have to deal with the fallout. You don't have to, like,
Hmm.
if that just goes away, you don't have to think about what does that mean for me?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, and I think I'll bring it back to, again, the like tragedy of how so many things in Black culture have been co opted by broader, and I'll just say Western culture, but like American culture, because that's what I'm fit to speak on.
Hmm.
When we're not ready for it because we're not ready for the, like, what it actually meant and what it actually should have looked like. Again, like talking about, you know, oh, what does this actually mean? Wokeness, cancel culture, or, canceling, um, cancel that bitch, whatever, all of that. Like the, and then, things like defund the police. We as a society were not ready to acknowledge that there was maybe more nuance there than
Hmm.
previously thought, or that more than meets the eye. And like, to me, again, what a way to co-opt something, because if the internet cancels somebody for a racist tweet in 2012, nobody else has to look at themselves. And I think that's why we also stopped learning. It's because, and like, people stopped talking out of fear, but that
Yeah.
was really bad, because what we should have done is like reflected,
Yeah.
and there were
Not
a
talking
lot
about it
of
feels only good for
the
the
oppressor.
bad guys without
Yeah,
like a better way
exactly.
to say it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not about vilifying the person who, let's call it a mistake, made a mistake. It's about collectively learning as a society, and also like, I think the carceral components of this just can't again be overstated. I think it's so fascinating to look at, how we've condemned people. And, I love like what Rihanna said, like, he needs help. Where does he go
Hmm.
now? About Chris Brown. Like,
No,
yeah,
you're so right. And also like the thing about the tweets, I feel like this is going to happen until the rest of my life.
death. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just like all these things of how people used to post on Twitter and how people still do. And it's like how many iOS notes apologies do we need to see of people being like, well, I was young, but I've learned and I've grown since then? And everyone's like, that's not a real apology. Like, you should never say that. And yeah, you shouldn't. You are dead wrong for that. However, when do we get to have the conversation about why everybody thought that that was cool at the time? When are we going
Totally.
to talk about the way that, yeah, this didn't happen in a vacuum? It wasn't just that guy who said that in 2012. It was like a lot of people. And
Hmm.
why did they feel comfortable doing that? It's not because he had bad parents. He might have, but that's not why this happened.
Yeah.
And, you know, so it's just like such a larger thing. And we just keep ignoring it and putting it like this individual responsibility thing on
Yeah.
people. And you do have some responsibility to yourself, but it's also people, you can't even have a real conversation about it because no one wants to implicate themselves by being like, well, yeah, I was there too. And I also didn't post it on Twitter, but
For
I
sure.
didn't think anything was wrong with it when I scrolled.
For sure. Cancel culture is such a cop out.
Mm-hmm.
It's the easy way out. And honestly, like I can see it, you know, people blame like woke culture for cancel culture. And
It's actually
I
the opposite.
yeah, I think also again like the people pushing cancel culture, like I don't feel like, I mean maybe there's one person, you know, who really advocates for cancel culture, but like I feel like it's one of those things that just kind of got away from us and then just started happening, and it was kind of like that, you know, cultural phenomenon of like but like I think the root of that is trying to dodge accountability. It's not trying to get people to take accountability. The root of the misinterpretation, I mean, you know,
Mm-hmm.
not the root of, you know, where that came from, but like the root of the misinterpretation of what it should have been, which was a, you know, method of accountability, became about dodging accountability and putting it all on
Mm-hmm.
one scapegoat, you know, like, oh my God, what a horrible human being this guy is. Did you see what he tweeted? Oh my God, he's
Right.
horrible. It's not about exactly what you were saying. Like, ooh, why do we feel like that was okay to say?
Oh my
Because it
God, that
wasn't
just
just him.
reminded me of last time Trump ran for office, and I don't know, I guess it was Hillary Clinton that did this, but everyone started
Which
using
of the
this.
three times? Which time?
No, but
Sorry.
it was that one time when everyone just kept using the word deplorable all of a sudden. It
Oh
was
my
so
God, I know
annoying.
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I was like, that's so annoying
I
because
think that was the original one. I think that
yeah,
was 2016.
it was just irritating. It was like deplorable human being, and it was like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
And it's like kind of just like pointing a finger and being like, no, that person's terrible. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, good. Well, once we've put them on an island and they can't reach us, we'll be good now. No, we won't. This is a cultural problem.
Totally. Oh my God. Honestly, this is such a good example because, yeah, and Trump has been obviously he's the most public figure in the entire world, but like it's been he's been a beacon for a lot of people to just point at him and not
Hmm.
do anything else, not,
Yeah,
you know,
and even the way
catch
how it
themselves
is
in the
like post
mirror.
election, where it's like you voted for Trump, I'll never speak to you again, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, that was easy. But what about you?
Yeah. And what about trying to understand? What about trying to understand? Like
What are you gonna
how
do
we
about
got
it?
here.
Especially CC white people. Like, what are you gonna do about it? Like, that's
Yeah.
your white auntie. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna talk to her. Somebody's gotta talk to her. It
I
shouldn't be
mean,
you.
and I just feel like, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's so reductive to talk about the person, not the idea. And you know what? Honestly, I come back to your viral TikTok comment about, you know, if you're attacking other people instead of systems, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And
Challenge ideas, not people.
challenge ideas, not people. And challenge systems, not people.
Yeah.
Like I kind of believe that with voting. And honestly, like, you know, sure, come for me with this, but like, I'm sorry, voting in presidential elections is like a bullshit thing
Especially if you're
anyway.
registered in New York. Oh my God. What a
Like,
waste of my time.
uh, I, I mean, if you know unless you are in a purple state, it's predetermined for you. Like,
Hmm.
I'm sorry, like the presidential election is I'm not going to say rigged. I'm really not going to say that.
But it
But
is
the
rigged. I'll
Electoral
say
College is
it.
rigged.
And also, you know what? We are still 4 years from the next election, so it's not going to be me. I don't work in electoral systems. But if you do,
Yeah.
can we do something now so that we don't have to have the same conversations in 4 years
Yeah.
about how?
And thank you to all the people who are working on ranked choice voting and like on projects like Majority Rules. And it just thank you because
That's another conversation. I don't even know if I like ranked choice voting.
I like ranked choice. But
I don't like it just because people don't get it and they think that you need to rank everybody and then people get votes on accident. And I don't like that.
you know what our next episode is?
Yeah.
Two-party system.
Hell yeah. We can
So
get into that.
I think we should talk about it. But yeah, when it comes to cancel culture, I think canceling somebody based on who they voted on, if you're canceling somebody from your own life, like I hope you have other reasons to do that
Yeah. Boring.
other than just who they voted for, because that's sad to me. And
Yeah.
it again, it speaks more about the larger problem than the individual.
Yeah.
Like
It
how
speaks
we
to a
got
bad system
here.
working on you
Yeah.
and your loved ones.
Yeah, exactly. And to me, it's like, okay, I see what got us here. I get it. I
Not
get
that
the
I'm any
fear.
better. I don't have any friends who voted for Trump, but if I did,
Yeah.
maybe I would explore this nuanced take.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now we have our final two. I feel like we should just talk about these all at once because they all go together. Our last
know.
2.5 episodes of this block,
Yeah.
which was about rage, how the meltdown is the message, and then the growing pains of what happens after the meltdown.
Yeah. Let's talk about it as one block.
Yeah. 'Cause
We
it
make
all
the
goes
rules,
together.
Lisa.
Yeah.
That's how this works. Really
I
crazy.
think we started with the rage episode, which was funny because I was in the middle of my rage body experience. And also, I've been doing the artist's way, and it was so funny. We did that episode, and the next day I went to the next week, and the chapter was about rage. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, the plot
Yeah.
thickens.
Foreboding.
But I
love it.
think I did feel a lot of rage. I didn't really have a great time. It did feel good though. It felt like validating and empowering and like taking my feelings seriously, which
Mhm.
was really good. But I do think it led to a really good place. I mean, at first I think, yeah, my rage, this was how mine wasn't in real time, is about how the meltdown, the crash out, mine happened before the rage.
Mhm.
I think for some people it happens after the rage, but all of those processes are valid.
Yeah.
But yeah, what did you think about the rage episode?
I really, honestly, the rage episode came right before like 2 weeks before my collapse.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't remember exactly where I was in my life. I remember listening to it and being like, hell yeah. But like, I think rage is a concept again, like, and how we broke it down, how it shows up in society and such. Like, I think that was very poignant. How it shows up in my personal life, I'm still sussing out because I've been in so much like low energy kind of pain, and rage to me is higher energy.
Oh,
It's
definitely.
like a higher vibration, right? And not that like grief and sadness aren't also high vibration,
But just like more
experiences.
frenetic, I think.
But yeah, you know what I mean. But like I've been on the lower end, and so I'm having like, I don't have that connection to my rage body that you did at that point in time. I did have something happen that I remember being like, "Oh my God, can you believe that we just did this episode?" I don't remember what it was. But so I guess the answer is I think we made a lot of good points, and about, how it shows up in society. I'm still trying to, figure out what it means in my own life and how it shows up. And, am I still stymieing anger? Am I still, like, I just honestly, I do find myself lately since this episode, like, I just haven't, I've had some anger come up. I've definitely had anger come up. Oh, I remember what it was now. Yeah. Okay. I've had anger and rage for sure. But it was one of those things where it quickly turned into I don't think it turned into something. I think it was I had to feel it, and then I had to feel the other stuff. I got to
Yeah,
feel the
totally.
pain. And, that was, but I was still deeply uncomfortable and like in pain while feeling the rage. And then, that, but honestly, again, the anger, like with that high vibration, like there was a sense of panic in me
Hmm.
that,
Definitely. It's like I have
oh,
to do something. I have to do something now.
yeah,
Whether that's say something or do something or make a boundary or and I feel like my rage started and it was exciting because I was really like leaning into it and I was like,
yeah,
no, yeah, I'm right to feel this way. I'm allowed to feel this way.
yeah,
And then it got tiring because it does require a lot of energy. And then I feel like I started to have rage about, I'm like, I don't want to have rage. I'm
yeah,
rageful that you have made this for me.
yeah,
And so I think that was interesting too. And then finally it like broke, which was good.
yeah,
And yeah, I feel like yeah, that kind of led us in at the same time as like you dropped off. And then we did this mini episode of Meltdown is the Message. And I was like,
mhm,
no, I can clearly see that, like, obviously it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to like really feel the full expression of how you're reacting to the world or your piece of the world, even.
yeah,
But it is your right and you are right to do it.
yeah,
And it's not like acting like everything's fine all the time isn't actually helpful. It's a lot of work and it causes pain for you and it doesn't make things better. So there's
yeah,
really no reason. So I feel even more strongly about this. And I think I was a little bit worried. I was worried about the Meltdown is a Message episode because I was like, is this irresponsible?
mm,
And I think that just because I feel like I can wield this power of emotion for myself, maybe other people can't. But I'm also not here to prescribe. So I don't really know.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think people who do know what their limits are should understand when it's like, oh, yeah, go off. You could be like, not me. I shouldn't do that. They're not
yeah,
talking to me.
yes,
But I do
yes,
still stand by it in like largely of the best thing that you can do is be honest with other people and create a space where
yeah,
they can be honest with you. And that is the only way that things are going to move forward. Otherwise, you're just going to keep burying things for the sake of like appearing to be okay. And
mhm,
that's really unhelpful. And it's going to lead here anyway.
yeah, yeah. Oh man, yes, and that's what I was going to. I was the not you girl, the subject of that in my rage phase because oh my gosh, it was just like I was swinging one of those. What are those medieval weapons called with the spikes on the end of the
Oh, I don't know, but I know what you're talking about.
ball chain? And it's like, but the thing was too heavy for me. So
Hmm.
I kind of, it looks like if I actually did it in real life, because I'm like a bony person and I could easily be overpowered by something like that. That, I'm regularly beaten by doors in entryways and such. Um, but like I was kind of like swing, and then it just took me with it, and hit everybody on the way down, and it was
Hmm.
not great. So yeah, I take accountability for that, and again, I think it's about knowing, okay, do you have a safe person you can talk to who's not the subject of your rage and who will
Hmm.
not be harmed by it? Um,
But maybe even that's more of a reason why your crash out is valid still
yeah,
stands because it's like do it early. The
yeah,
more you let it build up, the harder it's going to be for you to control your aim.
yeah. And I think for me, like, yeah, I think I was trying really hard to be fine for a while, and then it was kind of like, oh, all of a sudden I am not fine. And
Hmm.
that actually like was kind of the preview, and then I saw my therapist for the first time in like 2 months, and that was the triggered the main event, which was, oh boy, I've been repressing a lot of stuff. Oops.
Yeah, can't do
Um,
that.
yeah, I can't do that. And yeah, it got worse from there. But like, yeah, I think that's right. Don't hold it back. But this is all in advocacy of of knowing yourself and living your truest life, and living in a way that allows you to be your truest self always, like as
Yeah.
much as you can. And you know that to me, again, is like in our growing pains episode, the best way to make the world a better place, taking care of yourself. Like, and you know I really do feel like it starts with you. And again, when I was listening to our episode, I was like, God, that was such a bar, what you said about, putting on your own life mask first, because look at the example you're setting. You also know that that person now knows how to take care of themselves. What a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful thing that is. And that's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to do. Like, I'm recognizing, I got to start at home. And
It's so true. And it honestly connects honestly, all of the episodes together
yeah,
is really just the more that you are trying to assimilate and be okay, be a certain type of way, you're reinforcing all of these systems that are harming us. So you
mhm,
might as well start being honest and leading by example with the people around you so that they can start doing it
yeah,
too, because it just will cause an inevitability of change
yeah,
once people are just like, actually, no.
yep,
And it doesn't even have to be, a grand, I mean, it is a protest anyway, but it doesn't have to be like in the streets, like demanding change, when it's more just like, actually, this is what we're like and we're
yeah,
doing it.
yep,
Very like, we're here, we're queer, get over it, but just like for
yeah,
everybody.
absolutely. Oh man, yeah, I think very well said. And again, like, we're not. What was the episode? Oh, it was Rage, where I said, the incels who have a lot of rage towards women. We're not talking
We're
to you.
never talking to you.
We're never talking to you. This is like,
Literally talk
actually, we are
to
talking
a
to you when we
trusted
say
professional.
you need help. Yeah. That's what we're saying. You need help, and you do deserve resources to help you.
Yeah, I'm loath to say it, but you do deserve it. But it's not going
Yeah.
to be me. So listen to a different podcast,
Yeah.
not one that
Um
encourages you.
yeah, this is how did you find us? But you know what? Okay, if there's an incel listening to this podcast and enjoying it, you're not an
You can
incel,
say.
honey. You can stay. And you know what? I like that.
Let's
And you know
rename the
what?
podcast
There
Incel Rehab.
is, and his name is Johnny. And I was wearing that sweatshirt earlier, but I am not right now. And I tried to put my hood up, and I
You're
don't have
giving
a hood.
gay librarian. You're also giving like Miss Honey,
Thank you. Oh my
which
God.
is gay
That's
iconography.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That means the world to me. Oh, Miss Honey, I feel like my voice is soft like hers right now,
Definitely.
which is
Chat, let us
nice.
know if you're interested in Claire. I want to know.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my God. Um,
Okay,
I
on
can't
that thrilling
even.
note, also, yeah, just a reminder, we didn't say this at the top, but please leave us your comments. We're at the end of the season. We are in
Yeah.
the second half firmly. We're on episode 15. There's 25 episodes per season. So we have
Yeah.
10 more, which
Yep.
means we have 2 more what we got wrong episodes. We want your feedback. If you think we're wrong, let us know. If you just have a question and you want us to expand on something, we'd love to talk. So we'll
Yeah.
say more. If there's something else you want us to talk about, if there's something that you think is connected that we could bring up, go for it. We have 10 episodes left. Like, let's get into it. We're here for
Mhm.
you. We want to talk with you. We love talking with each other, but we also like talking with everyone else. So
Yes.
you can
It's
do this in
true.
the chat section of any platform that you're listening on, whether that's YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You can also go to carrotimpact.com/oftenwrong, or you could go to our Instagram at oftenwrongpod.
Yes.
Leave your comments. It could even be a DM if you're shy. And if you do it on our
Please
website, you can
do.
make it anonymous.
Yeah.
So tell us
Please do.
anything, because honestly, this is one thing. I put out good content. My biggest pet peeve with the world right now is I know I have so many haters and they don't say anything to me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm giving you an opportunity to anonymously come for
Yeah.
me. You're not
Yeah.
doing it. How lazy.
The
Let's go.
haters get a job, and you know what? Yeah. Make it
That is their
commenting
job,
on
and I'm
Often
glad to be
Wrong.
their employer.
Boost our algorithm,
Hmm.
please. I'm begging you. Yeah, and in this next block, I'm very excited. We have a lot of good conversations coming up, but just a couple of those are the two-party system and the falsehood of individual responsibility, which is a soapbox, a Claire Cornetta official soapbox.
And then we're
I'm
going to talk
very
about
excited for.
addiction.
Oh, that's light.
I'm really excited about this
I
conversation.
am
I
too.
have so many theories about this that I don't really see a lot, but I've had this in conversation a lot of times recently. That one I definitely want feedback on because, yeah, I feel like some extra POVs will be helpful. But yeah, I have some thoughts about that. And
Yeah.
all of these things go together, and we'll tell you how when we get there. So
Yep.
see you there.
And yeah, and then we're going to round out this block with our conversation about how we talk about social justice. And we're talking about it wrong. In
On
many
social
cases.
media specifically.
On social media specifically. Yes. Thank you.
All right. Well, that's it. Thanks for joining us today on What We Got Wrong, Part 3, as we head into the second and half of this season. Thanks for joining us. We love talking to you, and we'll talk to you later.
TTYL.
Bye.
Bye. Often Wrong is produced by Lisa Nwankwo, Claire Cornetta, and Joe Abdella. This episode was shot and edited by Joe Abdella. Special thanks to Michael Drummonds. Often Wrong is a Carrot Impact podcast. Go to carrotimpact.com/oftenwrong to learn more.